Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? It's Super Bowl week.
Super Bowl week.
I love this week. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. This is a fun week.
This is a fun week, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I think it might just be the matchup, but I'm not as excited about the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, it's definitely the matchup. Did I miss
I mean,
it?
I'm excited about like the Super Bowl as an event, but I'm not really like the game itself and some of the stuff like the pregame hype for it. Like I don't really care for this year.
I literally thought I would convinced myself that Super Bowl opening night where they had all the players come in and like do interviews was Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was last night, so I missed it.
It was yesterday. But now you can go and look at all the interviews.
Oh, you know what the problem is? Is that the Super Bowl's a week later, and usually the State of the Union's on Tuesdays. The State of the Union is tonight, so that would mean that the Super Bowl would be conflicting with the State of the Union.
I see. So they probably did some scheduling changes.
But either way, love this week. Love listening to the radio talk shows on Radio Row. It's interesting, fun stuff. The matchup, like Rick said, is measurable. If I have to listen to one more reporter talk about the Kelsey brothers playing in the Super Bowl, I might kill somebody.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, though. I get their podcast, like, shorts sometimes when I got YouTube
bad.
Shorts.
They're not bad.
It's kind of, yeah, some of their stuff's entertaining.
Very interesting. But anyway, so we got pods this week. We're gonna hopefully they'll go out a little faster. I was a little bit later last week, super busy, but apologize for that.
It's all good.
But today we're going to talk about our top free agent quarterbacks and tight ends. We'll discuss the top guys available, possible landing spots for them, what that would mean for the team as usual. This is the last free agent version of the show that we're going to do because I believe March 13th. I want to say I could have that dead wrong.
Is that free agency?
Free agency starts March 15th.
Oh, man.
March 15th.
I feel like that's pretty fast.
March 15th at 1 p.m. All players in contract expire at this time. And then the trading period begins for the new season. And then you can begin signing free agents. I don't know what the rules are for the NFL usually has like a schedule, but anyway, I don't know what the rules are for the tampering. So that might be a little bit sooner.
Oh yeah, like the contracts that are signed.
Okay, so March 13th or 15th, clubs are permitted to contact and enter into negotiations. And then at 1
So that's the tampering.
Yeah, so that's the tampering period. The new league year starts on March 7th, 6th. Scouting combine's coming up, so we got a lot of things, a lot of fun stuff. But the free agency, funny enough, is coming up very soon. That's why we do the show ahead of time during the Super Bowl weeks. But anyway, before we jump into free agent quarterback and tight ends, check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, comment down below. Without further ado, let's talk about some free agent quarterbacks and tight ends. Rick, why don't you tell me which group you want to start with?
We should probably do. Let's do tight ends actually first, because
it's boring.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to quickly, roughly talk about 5 guys. We don't need to go over the Brock Wrights of the world.
Yeah, where's Brock Wright gonna sign?
I mean, I think Austin Hooper could be somebody that you would see, but there's definitely a grouping, a top 5 here of guys that you could see on the move in free agency. The first one, Robert Tonyan. Rick, give me your thoughts on Robert Tonyan landing spot and what that could mean.
I'm kind of out on Tonyan. I think this year he actually had an okay year, but his touchdowns were way down. He only had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And when he was fantasy relevant, he had the same amount of catches and yards, but he had like 9 or 10 touchdowns. He was just a red zone machine. But the Packers obviously on offense struggled this year compared to that year. So Tanyan's fantasy production was down because of it. He's also coming off a major injury. I think was it last year or the year before?
Yeah.
Um, so he's got some issues going on there, and I obviously Aaron Rodgers potentially, most likely being gone. That leaves him with Jordan Love if he stays at Green Bay, which I don't know. I don't love that just because Jordan Love's unproven. I don't know where he would go in free agency. I think it would be really interesting though if Rodgers does get traded. That I could totally see Tanyan following him, signing wherever he goes, which we've seen in the past.
What if it's like? What if it is Oakland? Oakland. What it is? What if it is Las Vegas, and he goes to the Raiders?
I could still see that because Foster Moreau's a free agent, so he would just take over that second tight end role.
Okay.
But yeah, I could see that. Actually, probably the Jets would be unlikely because they invested in 2 tight ends last year, and they drafted somebody. So if he gets traded to the Jets, he probably won't follow him there. But yeah, if he goes to the Titans, I could see him following. I could see Tanyan following him to the Titans.
Yeah, so Titans need a tight end.
Yeah, some teams that do need a tight end though include like the Carolina Panthers. I don't think that's really a fit. The Cincinnati Bengals would be interesting.
Yeah, because Hayden Hurst is a free agent, correct? We'll talk about him next. But
yeah. And then basically any team that has a free agent tight end needs a tight end. So, and then the Saints too, which I don't think have anyone major on this list.
Yeah,
but nothing really stands out.
Unless you want Taysom Hill thrown. They don't even have a quarterback right now, which is interesting.
No.
So, for me, I kind of agree with Rick. I thought this season for Robert Tonyan, he was one of the guys that I was investing in redraft in the later rounds, between round 13 and 15 in some leagues, because, that's where you throw your tight end darts. And my thought process behind that was he's shown in the past that he could be a really good tight end. He's been like a top 5-6 guy in the past. And now with Devontae Adams gone, you assumed Rodgers would just throw it to the next guy that was up that he trusts, which would be Robert Tonyan. Obviously, that did not happen this year. I do think personally he's going back to the Packers.
I do too. I think at the end of the day,
I think he'll just return there because he didn't really do anything this year that would get him a bigger contract. I like Rick said, Jordan Love came in to replace Aaron Rodgers when he got hurt this year at one point, and he looked really good in like the 2 quarters he played. Like he looked really good. In the past when he's come in, he's looked horrible. So it was kind of impressive to see him move the ball in a very similar style to Aaron Rodgers. Fresh blood in the locker room. Guys will get around him. They don't really have a lot of offensive talent besides Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So we'll see how that offensive situation pans out. But like if Jordan Love works out, Tanyan could become a success because guys that come out and start in their first season typically toss it to the tight end quite a lot. So I'm not investing in Robert Tonyan. I want to see what happens. I wouldn't mind Robert Tonyan to Tennessee with Aaron Rodgers. That would be interesting. Would have to see how I feel about that once it happens. But anyway, Hayden Hurst comes in next, 30 years old, 52 catches, 414 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is a guy who has not really had a top-end season. So where you've seen Robert Tonyan have a top 5-6 tight end season, Hayden Hurst has really not done that. He's been a guy that you could stream at the tight end position depending on the week. I think there's going to be an investment for the Bengals somewhere at tight end because I think they don't want to sign T. Higgins to a massive contract. And I think that they're willing to move on from T. Higgins in a trade because of that contract. If that's the case, I think they can and will be interested in investing in a second wide receiver or a tight end that has pass catching ability. I don't know if they'll bring him back. He's been good with Joe Burrow, Hayden Hurst, and he's a good blocker. So I could see him going back to Cincinnati unless there's a much better playmaker available that they would like to go after. So I could see him going back to Cincinnati as well. But I don't see him having any real fantasy relevance regardless of where he goes, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Besides
I would. I would agree. I don't think he's going to have a ton of fantasy relevance wherever he goes. I do think he probably stays with the Bengals unless they really want to invest in the position. Then they would let him go and try to get like a real upgrade, either through the draft or free agency or even through trade.
Yeah.
But I think Hayden Hurst, he didn't put up big numbers, but he was kind of pretty solid for what they asked him to do. And he had, I want to say he had a pretty good game in the playoffs too, against the Bills, and was just kind of like a solid third down guy for them. So I would expect Hayden Hurst to stay. But if he goes somewhere else, I don't have high expectations for him.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So right when you stopped talking too, I couldn't hold it in. Yeah, it's very true. So I actually, if you had to rank them, I would kind of put Tanyan higher than Hayden Hurst.
And that's fair, yeah.
Because Tanyan's younger, and he's shown that he can be a good tight end. So like, I don't like, not that Hayden Hurst isn't a good tight end, but yeah. So, but Burrow does need like some kind of like safety valve that he can go to. So I think they will be active on the free agent market for pass catchers. Obviously Jamar Chase is going to be a guy that he trusts in a lot, but he does throw it to T. Higgins when he needs to. Hayden Hurst would be the dump off guy, and with him being a free agent, there could be some movement there. These three guys I do think could have some fantasy relevance. Mike Gesicki from the Miami Dolphins. He had 32 catches, 362 yards, 5 touchdowns. He took a huge step back this year.
Yep.
I don't think Gesicki's going back to the Dolphins.
There was a report that said he does not want to go back.
Yes, and I think that's because him going into this new system, which is really funny because Gesicki's a good player. He's not George Kittle good, but it's not like their system or the system that Mike McDaniel has coached in the past has not had a tight end.
So it's because in McDaniel's system, he wants his tight ends to also be good blockers. And Gesicki's a really good pass catcher, but he's kind of a
crap blocker.
He's like Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Although Kelsey's a better blocker and developed into a better blocker, but Kelsey was always more of a pass catcher than a blocker. Mm-hmm. And that's the same with Gesicki. He's always been more of a pass catching tight end than a blocker. So he kind of butted heads with McDaniel because of that, apparently.
Interesting. Yeah, so not
necessarily butted heads, but it wasn't a good fit.
Teams that are looking for tight ends, I definitely could see, especially if T. Higgins is going, Cincinnati could be a spot for him.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot if they end up upgrading.
Another spot, not that you want to duplicate this player and put him twice on the same roster, but another team that I could see doing it is the Patriots. I feel like Jonnu could be a cap casualty if they don't decide to hold on to him. And
do you think the Patriots, though, they kind of also like their blocking tight ends too?
Yeah, that's fair. That's very
fair. But I think he would be. I mean, he would be a good fit if they end up moving on from Jonnu. Because Hunter Henry can, I feel like, do the majority of the blocking.
Yeah.
What about let's see. I just had the team. Oh, the Giants. Apparently they could be in on tight ends.
I can see that.
Yeah. He's going to go to, I think Gesicki, to be honest, is going to go to whoever gives him the most money.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's going to be like the bidding war tight end.
What is he going to get? Is he going to get a monster contract or no?
I wouldn't say monster, but I think a team who's desperate for a tight end would give him a good sized deal. I know he had a down year this year, but he's put up bigger numbers in the past. And
you know what I
he's actually 20. He's only 27, so he's in his prime.
With the injury crap with Mark Andrews.
Oh yeah,
I could see some of these low level guys going to the Ravens.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of like systems that require the tight end in the NFL. Like the Chiefs ain't. Like, unless Travis Kelce decides to drive off into the sunset if they win the Super Bowl.
What about the Saints? They use their tight ends.
Yeah, I could see the Saints doing something.
Their quarterback situation is so gross.
So I'm just like looking around the league. I feel like a lot of the guys that already, like McDaniels in I keep saying Oakland. McDaniels with the Raiders, like that's a tight end friendly system.
Yep.
I like you have Darren Waller. And unless, Gaiseki's definitely not going to want to play a second fiddle role here if he's leaving Miami. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I'll give you one. If they end up letting their guy walk, who we'll get to, Doug Peterson uses tight ends a lot too. So maybe the
Gaiseki
Jaguars
could be good with the Jags. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah.
All right. Any more thoughts on Gaiseki?
Nope.
All right. Dalton Schultz, number 2, 27 years old, 57 catches, 577 yards, and 5 touchdowns. This guy actually had a really, really good season. He suffered a PCL injury early in the season. He's among some of the best pass catching tight ends that you see in the NFL. And he's Rick, has Dalton Schultz in some dynasty leagues.
Yeah,
he drafted Dalton Schultz this year in the home league, I think, right?
I did.
Yeah, so you like yourself some Dalton Schultz.
It was kind of I took him in the home league because he was projected in the 6th round. It was like the 9th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
it's one of those. But
Schultz is really good. He kind of fell off a little bit, which personally I kind of anticipated. I didn't think he was going to play up to the level that he was playing at.
Right.
But I look at Dalton Schultz. This is one of the guys I don't think is leaving. I think he will stay.
I
with
agree
Dallas.
100%.
There's no way he leaves. Dallas is a team that locks guys up that they like, and they like this guy. So he's going back to Dallas. The question is how much and how long.
Yeah, the only way I see him leaving, and I do think it is a possibility, is just he asks for too much money. But they definitely I think he wants to stay at Dallas, and Dallas definitely wants to bring him back. I think he's gonna stay, but you never know. If he ends up leaving, he's gonna have a pretty big market. He'll probably be the top. He might arguably be the top free agent tight end.
He would probably be the top free agent tight end.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dallas is known for paying their guys, and he'll probably be there. Number 1 is Evan Ingram. At least on the list we have 28 years old, 73 catches, 766 yards, 4 touchdowns. It depends on what Jacksonville would like to do, because I think you can get Dalton Schultz cheaper. I think you can get Mike Gesicki cheaper. And what Evan Ingram just did is very, very good, and he's going to be asking for a lot of money, and I think teams are going to line up to pay him.
Yeah.
So the question is, do they re-sign Evan Ingram saying, well, he was good, and we like him, so we're going to keep with him. He's one of the safety blankets for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Or do they go out and get one of these cheaper guys? It really just depends. Personally, I have no idea. I'm kind of 50-50. Like I could totally see him staying in Jacksonville, but I could also see him leaving in free agency.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because if those guys are cheaper, then it would kind of make more sense to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the end of the day, he'll probably stay in Jacksonville, because I think he had one of the best years of his career, and the chemistry he had with Trevor Lawrence is pretty good. I feel like Jacksonville probably wants to keep most of the same pieces they had and build off of that.
Yep.
Off that season. So I think they definitely would want to keep him. It's just going to be, the contract is going to be kind of like Dalton Schultz. That's going to be the big factor. But I think at the end of the day, him and Dalton Schultz end up staying with their teams.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about quarterbacks. So
fair enough.
There is some interesting guys in here.
Like Andy Dalton.
Yes. Like Andy Dalton. I just wanted to run through, because we'll probably talk about 3 or 4 guys in depth, but I wanted to talk about or bring up, like, just quickly. Like, I'll say the guy's name.
Okay.
And just tell me if they're leaving, staying, or a starter next year. So tell me if they're leaving or staying, and if they're going to be a starter next year. That's all we need to know. And then I'll tell you when we're actually going to talk about a guy. All right. Sam Darnold.
Staying.
Is he starting?
No.
Andy Dalton?
Oh gosh, staying.
Yeah, I would say staying too. Not a starter.
Yeah, not a starter.
Baker Mayfield.
He's leaving. I'm gonna say leave.
Okay, starter next year.
I'm gonna say he's going to be in a competition. I don't know if he will start, but he'll be in a QB competition.
Fair enough. Additional question for Baker Mayfield because I think he's one of the guys in this list that could actually,
Yeah,
people could see as a starter. Landing spots.
I think the Saints. Andy Dalton Baker competition would be
Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston.
so
comp?
gross.
You want that?
Yeah, that would be something else. I think if the Colts don't get a quarterback through the draft, they could be looking in that direction. I think maybe the Commanders to throw another guy in there. The Buccaneers are going to need a quarterback. So I think there are landing spots for him. I don't know if he starts though.
Okay. Yeah, but you do think it'll be a competition?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Taylor Heineke.
Stays.
Starter?
No. I think he's a locker room guy that they want to keep for a backup.
Agreed. Jacoby Brissett.
Ooh, this one's tough. I'm going to say he leaves.
Interesting. Starter?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like Brissett, Heineke, Andy Dalton, and Sam Darnold are backups at this point.
Yeah.
And
Baker's the only one that I think has a shot.
Okay. All right. We do have some guys here that we want to talk about, just four, because and we can quickly let's touch on it now. Tom Brady, 46 years old, threw 4,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Retired this week. Thanks, Tommy, for everything you did. So many memories in my brain. You're the reason why I love football. So,
dude, I stay up till like 2 a.m. watching Brady Patriot highlights.
Seriously,
the day he retired.
So we love Tom here in New England, obviously, but what are the chances this is like a Brett Favre like retirement where Brett did it twice? Remember, he retired and came back twice. So what are the chances? And there's already rumblings that I heard this week that Brady has stated to people close to him, well, I can still play. It's only been a week.
Yeah.
Just shut up and retire for at least 3 months before you
I'm going to say he stays retired. Okay. I think if I had to put a percentage on it, I'll say like 10% chance he comes back.
Okay. And let's play in the world of that 10%. Because I think it's 5% based on the way he's going about it.
Yeah.
Like,
it feels like he's actually done this time too.
On his Let's Go podcast, he just had like Bill Belichick on, and like,
right.
I don't like some of the stuff that he's doing. I don't think he would have done.
He's with Colin Cowherd. He's never done like a
Cowherd interview, or a big interview,
or not even just Cowherd, like any interview like that before. And he was just on talking about like Fox Sports and stuff. Like it was interesting.
Yeah, so it definitely seems like he's done. But let's play in the 10% or the 5% for me. Ballpark.
Sure.
Raiders, we've talked about. That was my prediction. I think if he were to play football, Oakland, oh my God, third time on this podcast. Las Vegas ain't making that mistake twice. I've learned some new information about he was traded. He was basically agreed upon traded to the Raiders. Or not traded. He was signing with the Raiders. And
really?
Yes.
The first time?
John Gruden nixed the deal.
Interesting.
He did not want Tom Brady, and so they didn't have Tom Brady because of that.
Freaking idiot.
He's such a moron sometimes. I can't. You should have just. He's probably like, well, you have Derek Carr. But anyway, so Brady didn't go to the Raiders because of that. I could see.
Is that where the quote came from Brady, where he's like, "You're not going to sign me because you got this mother effer"?
Yes.
Like referring to like the quarterback.
Yes.
Derek Carr.
Yep. So anyway. Tommy, I think could go to. I don't think he's going to Miami. They already kind of ruled that out. I don't think he's going to the Jets. That definitely wouldn't happen. He's not going to Tennessee, which I think could be an option if he were to play. But that's and it's close to his family. That could actually be a dark horse if he were to play again. Bucks, I think he's done with. I don't think he's going back to Tampa.
Okay.
So to me, it's like Titans or Raiders.
49ers?
The Niners could be a spot, but they've already kind of ruled that out too.
Yeah. It's Shanahan apparently wouldn't want him, which is, again, dumb.
Morons.
So I actually did hear, though, I think this was from Ian Rappaport.
Okay.
So this is legit reporting. And he had said that Brady basically, it came down to retirement or going back to Tampa because he doesn't want to move. At this point in his career, he doesn't want to go somewhere else.
And Tampa is
and his kids are in school in Florida. So unless it was the Dolphins, he would just stay in Tampa. And he said he wanted to be a part of the reason that Tampa, because they're kind of going downhill, to go back uphill. But I don't know, the way he explained it was almost like winning didn't really matter to him as much. It was more just staying near his kids. That was the biggest, and that's kind of why he retired.
Interesting.
Or one of the reasons.
Okay, well, there's Tom Brady talk for about 5 minutes. He will probably, like Rick and I said, 90-95% chance he is not coming back. So, congratulations on a wonderful career, Tom. Jimmy G is also a free agent. I'm gonna stake my claim he's going to the New York Jets.
I was gonna say the same thing.
All right, there you go. So because I stole your spot, we both agree that he's probably going to the Jets.
Yep.
Okay. Any other possible landing spots that you could see?
Titans were a rumor, but to me, it's you're going from Garoppolo to Tannehill, or Tannehill to Garoppolo,
To be fair,
it's the most lateral move.
I think that Garoppolo is a slightly better passer than Tannehill, so that could work. But it's also not the system that he's used to running. So I think that he would just go where he knows the system is, and that's New York.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jimmy G in a Jets uniform.
I actually could see Commanders. I think the Commanders could be in on Jimmy G.
Okay,
that's a team that just needs a distributor. They got a lot of.
You know what they need to do? You know what they need to do, Rick? You need to go draft a quarterback instead of playing freaking quarterback carousel.
Yeah, you could the Panthers too. I've heard Panthers in on Jimmy G. It's dude, you need to draft a quarterback.
I know.
It's not sign another Baker or Sam Darnold.
They're bobos.
Yeah.
What are you people doing? I feel like running an NFL team is extremely hard. But if you made me GM, I feel like I could fix it in 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about contract negotiations.
You just got to draft the right players.
Get somebody on that or cap space. You just got to draft the right players, and I feel like it's really not that hard. Like Rick was telling me, which I actually...
It's famous last words, though.
That is so true. What the heck? Mike Mayock?
Yeah. Oh, I think I could be a better GM than him.
That guy's a clown. But people overdo it so much. So anyway, but the teams like the Colts, the Commanders, Panthers, they've been playing quarterback every year for the last 2-3 years. We've been talking about okay, they're gonna draft a guy, and then they don't, and they bring in Baker Mayfield, or they bring in
Carson Wentz,
Matt Ryan, or Carson Wentz. It's it just doesn't work, guys. I know you think you have a team now. Jets are now in that conversation. I know you think you have a team now, but you got to get a real quarterback. And you're going to end up Denver Broncos were in that same situation. Now they're stuck with $100 million quarterback. Why don't you look at that and see that as the thing? That's what you don't do. Go
at least Russell Wilson though is if you can get a stud,
right, question.
I get it.
Would you rather be the New York Jets or the Chicago Bears right now? One quarterback away, or you got the quarterback, you just got to put stuff around it.
I think I'd rather be the Bears.
Yeah, me too.
Because
the rest is fixable. Quarterback's much harder to solve.
Well, they also have the first overall pick, so if they can trade down and get multiple first rounders, that's how you build a team right there.
Right. Okay. Let's quickly talk about some of these other guys. Daniel Jones, I think he's going back to the Giants.
I don't know if we need to talk too much about Daniel Jones.
Geno Smith also. I think, to be honest with you, Seattle's brick. They're a bunch of bricks. Geno Smith's not taking you nowhere. He had a great season, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4,200 yards, 366
Really
rushing yards, 1
ridiculous,
touchdown.
honestly.
Very, very good season for Geno Smith. I think he can get him to the playoffs like multiple years running if he plays like that.
Yeah.
He's 32 years old, and he's not very good. But they're going to sign him to a big contract because the Seahawks are idiots.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't sign him long term, but they will. And I don't know if he plays like that every year, then they got a shot. But I don't. It's Geno Smith. Like it's like I know he just did it, but like how confident are you that he's next year?
What did they play? They played the San Francisco 49ers, right?
Yep.
Like Brock Purdy beat him.
Yeah.
Like they're just not going anywhere. I watched his games in the second half of the season because the first half you're like, what the hell is this? And I was like, I just don't see it. Like he does some good things, but like
but you notice too, like some of his best plays were in the first half of the year too. Like some of the ridiculous throws he made. Yeah. Like I feel like a lot of it was confidence and like him getting hot.
Yeah.
And I do think he knows what he's doing. Like he's been in the league a long time as a backup. Like he's a smart player, but I don't know. I really don't think he's the answer. But they're gonna sign him.
Agreed. All right, and then the final guy that we have on the market right now is Lamar Jackson. He got hurt. He got hurt this year. He's 26 years old. This is a weird one, I will say. More specifically because the Ravens are like, he's our quarterback. And Lamar's like, where the money? So it's like it's a standoff.
Yeah. They gotta pay him, man. I don't know what they're
doing. I'd pay him. Jeez, I'd trade half the Patriots for Lamar Jackson.
Apparently, this report is saying that the Falcons, if he becomes available, will be desperate for him.
Oh my god, that would be kind of clutch. Get rid of a freaking team in the AFC.
Yep.
I want that to happen. Please, Lamar, go to the Falcons. Honor the legacy of Mike Vick. Personally, I do think, based on what I've been hearing and seeing, he's going to go back to Baltimore.
Yeah, it's just a matter of them actually paying him.
Yeah. So, but if he actually hits the market, like you got a month. Like if he actually hits the open market, guys, like,
do you think he would be the highest paid quarterback in the league?
No, I don't. After this season and like
in the open market, though.
In the open,
with teams bidding to get him.
Yeah, I still don't think he wouldn't. He wouldn't reach Mahomes level. He wouldn't reach 45 mil.
I don't think Mahomes is. Isn't Mahomes at 40?
I thought he was at 45. There's a quarterback at 50
is the highest paid. I think
is it Deshaun
Watson
50 mil? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not the highest paid. Year on year, it will increase though. But no, I don't know about you, but I think Lamar is going back to Baltimore.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lamar is going to go back to Baltimore.
Now, do you think, even though Miami has said,
Aaron Rodgers is the highest paid quarterback in the league?
Two is our guy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Miami would rip their drawers off right now and say
they should, but they won't. They won't.
It's really hard. This is what I'm saying, dude. Like, I would go to the owner and say, hey, you want a franchise quarterback? Sure. All right, Lamar. You're going on the market, yeah? What do you want? 51.5. Sure. Draw it up, guys.
Yep.
Whatever you want.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. But I think at the end of the day, he's going to re-sign.
Okay.
And the two quarterbacks that probably are on the move aren't even on this list, Rodgers and Carr.
Yeah, both in trades. So
unless the Raiders cut Carr. But
for the teams that are looking to find a solution at quarterback, i.e. the Jets, the Panthers, the Commanders, Colts, I think have learned their lesson.
Colts, they're
going to draft a quarterback. But like those teams, they're going to have to fight over Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Rodgers, and Derek Carr. And do
you think the Bucs are going to be in on any of these guys?
It depends. If I were the Bucs, I'm not going to lie,
I would reset.
And they do have so much. Like, they have one of the best young defensive tackles in the NFL, Vita Vea. Their defense is really good when they play with their mind. I think their coach sucks. No. Levante David's not old. I know
he's not old.
I know their secondary is not young, but they do have a good defense, and their offense is like Mike Evans is getting up there, but like Chris Godwin's still young. You know, you have Rashad White. Like
Their offensive line is, other than Tristan Wirfs, though, is kind of old. Like Ryan Jensen is old.
Yeah. So, but I was gonna say that same thing. Is like I just reset. Like trade Mike Evans. Maybe you stick with Godwin. Get a young quarterback in there. This year and kind of reset your team a little bit. But yeah, outside of that, like it's definitely Garoppolo, Derek Carr, and Aaron Rodgers on the move.
Yeah, those are the big three. And then if you can't get one of those guys, I think Baker might be the
Baker's the option.
last hope.
Tennessee signs Baker. Quarterback competition with Tannehill. Tannehill tears his ACL in camp because he doesn't know how to stay healthy. And Baker Mayfield leads the Titans to a Super Bowl.
Honestly, the more I look at this, I feel like...
That's the story. If I said that right now, we need to bookmark it because after Geno Smith, anything's possible.
I feel like Baker might actually get another shot.
I do think he's going to get another shot.
Some team.
Commanders
who
could
misses out on everybody.
Commanders could be it. I don't know. I feel that red and yellow uniform all over Baker.
This article says Patriots could get Baker Mayfield for competition for Mac.
What? That's wild. Anyway, there you go. There's your show. Free agent quarterbacks, tight ends. We got another show this week. We're going to talk about, I don't remember. Oh, first real ADP. See you then.
Oh, there you go. See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.